Welcome to another edition of WCW 2004 here in TEW 2020 as we're continuing the road to Sacrifice as we're got Nitro live from San Jose, California with a little over 17,000 people. So let's get rolling. If you don't like a show with some supernatural BS, well, you're not going to enjoy this one. But hey, sometimes with a stable like Deadpool, you have to do it. So just enjoy what's coming. But regardless, let's get to the actual show. I'll start with it in a pre-show bout that had terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Lexi James and Kill Kim defeats Natty Neidhart and Emi Sakura in 10:09 when Lexi James pins Natty Neidhart with a Lexi DT. This gets a 57. Emi gets a 51. Natty gets a 41. Gail Kim gets a 61. Lexi James gets a 54. Perfectly okay. Dark show match. There's no women's match on the actual show tonight, so giving some women in time and honestly giving Gail and Lexi a win because they've sort of been the designated heel jobbers for the past couple weeks while I've been pushing Nikita. But yeah, just gives them a solid win on the pre-show and, gives them some time in ring. So anyway, we open up the show, and after the Nitro opening, we go over the fact, Mike Tenay will speak one-on-one in special interviews with both Eddy Guerrero and Booker, leading up to their big world title match, at Sacrifice. This little 1-minute opening gets a 72. As we go to our ring for our opening match, as in a poor match, which gets a 72, Elix Skipper defeats Teddy Hart and Cash in 722 when Elix Skipper pins Teddy Hart with the overdrive. So basically, obviously, Hart Legacy are going for the tag titles. Cash and Reno are the tag champions. So basically, this is Hart and Cash continually going off at each other, and Elix Skipper basically, hitting his spots in. And the big finish is basically, Teddy Hart actually wipes out Cash on the outs, with a big, wild, 630, 540 wacky splash. But it hurts Hart just enough that with Cash on the ground, Skipper's able to come in, roll in, hit the quick overdrive on Skipper. 1, 2, 3. Big win for Skipper. As like I said, this gets 72. Skipper gets a 52. Hart gets a 61. Cash gets a 69. Unsurprisingly, Hart and Cash were not happy about this, so I'll have to give them some money. Because that's one thing this game sometimes does not do, is sometimes, since these two teams are feuding, if, in real life, I booked and be like, okay, you're going to fight so much that basically a third guy wins a match in a triangle match, they would totally get that unless they were, really high up there, but neither of them have, any, things that would, understand that, so, and plus they're both, upper mid-carders at this point, so, so this is one thing where I'm okay, just giving some money out to basically account for that. Anyway, this gets 72, and basically what happens here is, Skipper, slides out, celebrates. Cash and Hart start, basically, arguing with pushing each other, and then Amber O'Neil and Natty Neidhart also come out to basically, begin the pushing. And, basically setting, Natty is, with the Hearts, officially, even though she's not up from Dev fully because she's not quite that good yet, but she can come in for little guest appearances like this. As this little post-show thing gets a 52. Good stuff. I have booked, the actual tag title match. Okay, yes, I have. I just wanted to double check that. So we go backstage. We have Jeremy Borash with WCW Women's World Champion and Nikita Colt. Borash basically asks Colt, about the fact that, Jordan Cole is going to be her opponent at Sacrifice, and she responds basically, as Women's Champion, I deserve some respect. So if I have to take some Glück Blondie, which is German for lucky, so be it. I've got ice in my veins, and there's nothing any other women in WCW can do about it, no matter where they stand. Because I'm an elite athlete, I have elite skills, and I proved that becoming WCW Women's World Champion when I finally came up here into the promotion. So if Jordan Cole wants to act like a little bouncy beach babe and thinks that she can do that to win the World Championship, good luck. Then she walks away. 74, which is a shockingly good promo. That's why I've been pushing Colt, because Chase really has some really good stats. So we move forward. As we go backstage, where basically, O'Hare and Palumbo are okay, so we still don't understand why, we don't like Vampiro, but nobody deserves to end up in a casket. That's a bad way to go. And O'Hare basically says, look, Chuck, everybody's been reactive this whole time to Deadpool. They do spooky stuff, then the next week we fight back. They throw people in caskets. They do all sorts of weird stuff, and we don't do anything against them. So instead of being reactive all this time, we need to be proactive. Okay, sure, but where is the Grave of Ourselves? Somewhere here, because the cameraman and people know where it is, but we need to go find it. And O'Hare says, exactly. So they walk off. off to find the graveyard souls within the arena, as this gets a 74. Then we have a another backstage promo with the three baby faces in the main event tonight versus the Triumvirate. And, RVD starts off by saying, awesome. You guys won't talk about how you're held down, bro. But yes, the wrestling business isn't all roses. God knows we all know this. But you've got to fight to the top. You got to be willing to do what you can, not be expected to be given to it. And Goldberg, says, look, awesome. I mean, you will never be truly held down if you really want it. But you just don't want to do the work. You expect to be given things just because you were big. Well, that part of that, and why get involved in my business is why you're next. And why tonight, we're going to take you apart. 81, decent promo. As we move forward to our, actual match. As Zimbabwe had good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd, Rey Mysterio Jr. defeated Sean Shasiak in 6:18 by pinfall with the springboard Hurricanrana. This gets a 63. Just perfectly straightforward, squash win for Rey, honestly. Rey gets a 90, Sean Shasiak gets a 60. He has a little bit of offense, but in the end, Rey, is able to not really, he doesn't dominate because he's still, under dog babyface Rey Jr., but he's able to, not be that much in danger. Eventually, he hits his, series of moves, and is always, able to fight back fairly easily, and eventually hits the springboard Hurricanrana, like it says, and win the match cleanly, as this gets a 63. And then, Rey Jr. is celebrating, and Sharp comes out, and, Rey Jr. basically, takes Mike, says, are you going to clap for me again? And Sharp says, no, congratulations, though. You defeated a broken man, left behind by his own tag partner, and even his manager. But that's not who you're going to be facing at Sacrifice. You won't be facing a broken man. You'll be facing a man walking his own path of success, who doesn't have to depend on friends, fellow luchadors, or anybody else. Who just focuses on himself to walk down the path chosen by himself. And that's why I'm going to become United States champion. Rey Jr. says, the only way you succeed is taking on men who aren't ready for you. And that includes myself. I thought you were just some young kid getting an unexpected shot. Well, I'm ready for you now. And Sharp, if you think Lightning's going to strike twice at Sacrifice, you've got another thing coming. So, then we face down. Let's go back from commercials. So this gets a 72. Decent, not the best thing ever, but, what can you do? Then we come back from commercial, where Bischoff is in his office as the chosen few of Jeff Jarrett, Ray Gordy, and Merchant Drac comes in. This gets a 70. As this is a basically 3-minute, I think, segment, maybe 4-minute segment, as they're, it's I want Canyon at Sacrifice, since Nero's got the world title shot, I want to take him apart and prove that he was always being protected in the Horsemen. Because fine, I'll make the match. No big, neither of you are number contenders, so be it. And Jarrett complains, I know, you're worried about Bears Hoff deep down, so don't worry about your meal tickets. Once I'm done with Canyon, it'll be on, then it'll be my turn. Be back at the top as the chosen one here in WCW. And so, perfectly straightforward promo. This gets a 70 and officially sets up that match for Sacrifice. And we're also going to pre-book one other match that will be basically announced during commercials, which is going to be Ric Flair versus Shane Helms, which you should have been able to figure out if you've been following the storyline so far. I think that set of matches. Booker, U.S. title match, tag title match, women's title match. Yeah, okay, that's everything. Then we have the first of our one-on-one interviews. So it's done where we would see any a backstage, not backstage, but Mike Tenay and Booker T sitting in chairs, Sharma beside Booker, all that good stuff. Tenay goes over Booker's history and World Championship Wrestling, especially since basically the reboot. Rising to the top, winning the world title from Scott Steiner. Continuing the fight against Deadpool. So he says, why has he taken this new leaf in the past couple of months? And Booker says, look, you're right. At the beginning, when things were restarted here, I was at the top where I belong, sucker. But then I got overtaken by Goldberg taking back, and Goldberg even given the big world title shot. Then guys like Eddy, RVD had already shown up, and they were given everything on a platter in front of them, while I had to take the fight to SOBs like Deadpool. And then even we got those power plant kids, O'Hare, Palumbo, thinking they're the hot bleep just because the WC brass wants some young, cute faces to put on promotional material. I was getting no respect from anybody. But, my queen, my wife, she told me what I needed to do, what I had to do, or right to the top. And look where I am. I'm not stuck in some never-ending feud with some face-burner freak. I'm getting a world title shot. I'm going to take back my WCW championship. There's nothing Eddy Guerrero can do about it. Because, Guerrero, he's a great wrestler. But he's not a 5-time world champion supper. And after Sacrifice, it'll be 6 times to prove that I'm one of the greatest of my generation. And you dig that? And then Booker walks away. 86, really good promo, building that up. And then we have a Monty Brown kills a local jobber, Vinny Masato, in 136 by pinfall. The Pounce. This gets a 47. Monty Brown gets a 59. Vinny Masato gets a 45. And then post-match, Team Monty, which is Monty Brown, Miss Jones, and Steve Ray all celebrate to a 55. So just another squash win for Monty to continue him up. And then we have basically O'Hare and Palumbo basically like backstage. They are like at some sort of like dark part of the backstage area, maybe the boiler room if we can get it, and they, say, they talk to, they speak, they talk to a couple of camera guys, and this is the place, and there's a quote-unquote cultist in front of a door. That cultist is Wrathchild from our developmental territory. The cultist sort of stands up to them and says, "You will not interrupt the message." And Palumbo looks at O'Hare and says, "Oh, I think we will." And they just whip his ass 2-on-1, throw him apart, and, they enter the first door as this little segment gets a 67. And then we come back from commercial to the other Mike Tenay interview with Eddy Guerrero. Probably could have, I could have probably moved this up a little bit, but not the end of the world. Chavel's standing right by him as this gets a 98, so really good. And, Eddie says, the reality is, me and Booker, we were rising up together before I left for parts up north. And I was proud about his success, okay? So, why couldn't he be happy about mine? Just because, yes, I took an opportunity. I attacked at Clash of the Champions almost a year ago when nobody else would. So I got lucky. I got put in that number 1 contenders match. But I took advantage of the moments I had. And that's why I'm wearing this belt and Booker isn't. The reality is, Holmes, your wife's leading you down a bad path, and I don't want to, but I'll whoop your ass at Sacrifice if I have to, from one side of Las Vegas to another. So, you want to talk about how you're the greatest of your generation? Well, this belt means everything to me, and I'll do anything to keep it around my waist, because Guerrero family values mean making everybody remembers that this belt means I'm the greatest wrestler in the world. Nobody gave me a chance in Macias, and I survived him. People thought I was going to blow when I was against Canyon. People thought I wasn't even going to beat Vampire for the belt. But here I am. And Holmes, there's nobody going to be stopping me now. 98, really good promo. And moving forward, our next part. As we have a quick in-ring where baby, he says, the future Cruiserweight champion, once again, wants some competition. So bring out somebody who I can show AJ Styles in the back that his time with the belt is numbered. It's at 70, and then we go to our match, which is Jamie Knoble. Which is, again, Jamie Knoble versus Tajiri, which is a 79, which is really good. I mean, in a decent match, Jamie Knoble defeated Tajiri in 11:24 by submission with a guillotine choke after interference from Ebony Sable. So back and forth match. I would even imagine, like, near the end, we have, ref bump or ref distraction. Tajiri goes for the mist. He actually hits it. But then Sable gets involved, comes in, hit the gut-wrench powerbomb on Tajiri. Noble's able to lock in the guillotine choke and get basically the KO win. As, like I said, this gets a 79. Jamie Noble gets a 76. Tajiri gets a 54. Really good stuff. Tajiri's off his game. That's unfortunate. But then Knoble celebrates with Sable to a 69 afterwards. So good stuff. And sort of, builds up that Cruiserweight title match as we move forward. Then we have a backstage statement with the whole, Triumvirate, and, Borash says, the Goldberg, RVD, and Hardy all said words for you earlier tonight. How do you respond? And, Storm says up first, the reality is Hardy, RVD, and Goldberg all believe the myth that's been created about them. They actually believe the myth that the greatest secular wrestler in World Championship Wrestling deserved little more than being a tag team specialist. They actually believe that the greatest cruiserweight champion of his generation couldn't rise to the top. They actually believed that a man who had battled all over the world, wanted to dress like a throwback to the 70s. Then Kevin comes in and says, RVD, you're a star in the barbed wire city, but now you're nothing but a joke and somebody for the fans to chat along with. You've been passed by Guerrero and others, and even a face-painted freak like Hardy might even pass you up. But, and hell, Hardy, you're one step away from being crippled. And Goldberg, you've been protected by all of WCW who's salivating over the merchant. We've never been protected. And Awesome says, tonight begins the march to break the myth. And yeah, it'll be officially announced that, I guess on the weekend shows, which I forgot to add, it'll be Bill Goldberg versus Mike Awesome as well at Sacrifice. And this gets an 83, which is a really good promo. So good stuff. Then we have a quick backstage promo where basically, which gets a 76, where Home Legacy basically says, we've been dealing with all sorts of things. The greatest United States champion of all time will get a chance to take on some who think is the greatest of all time. And Flair, the reality is, you're getting long in the tooth. Every day is a little harder for you to get in that ring. So I'm going to send you to retirement where you can relax instead of being beat up every day like young men like me. And before that even happens, my men Casarino will take apart the so-called Legacy of the Hearts. And next week, we've been told by WCW officials, we're all teaming up. So, Heart Legacy, Flair, even United Neidhart, it'll just be a little preview of what's coming for you at Sacrifice. 76, solid promo. Then we have an interesting match, which we said last week, in a bout that had good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd. Worse, really, I can tell them. America's Most Wanted drew with Jason Jett and Paul London, 11-21, following a double disqualification. Now, you may wondering how that happened. So basically, it's a four-way battle, big, good tag team match, everybody fighting, and, looks like it's going to be, hard fought, and, all four men are down in the ring after, some sort of series of dives and everything. They're slowly getting up, when all of a sudden, Swinger and Romeo of the Roman Legion come in, slide in, and just start beating up both teams, just kicking the shit out of them. Jonathan Toro also comes in and begins beating them down as the ref calls for the bell. This gets an 80. Storm gets a 71. Harris gets a 66. Paul gets an 82. Jason Jett gets a 69. And yeah, just a complete 3-on-4 beatdown. And after a couple minutes, officials get in, but eventually, Roman Legion walk away, as youngsters don't understand what just happened here, as this gets a 59. And we still don't know, sure. Why? I mean, I guess the Roman Legion want to show that they deserve near the top of the WCW tag team ranking as well, but maybe they could try winning some matches. I mean, how's that for an idea? But now we cut backstage as Deadpool are in the Graveyard of Souls, and, Morningstar basically says, Vampiro was standing against the message. He didn't know his place any longer. He really, just because he won the WCW Championship, he was something special, when in reality, we are just tools of the message and nothing more. So, anybody who stands against the message will fall sooner or later, and Vampiro was just the latest to have to understand that. Then we see O'Hare and Palumbo enter sort of the mists, of the Graveyard of Souls, and they're Macias and Morningstar, Macias goes in and go after him, but Morningstar that sends it back, and because he looks sort of quizzically interested in this, and Palumbo and O'Hare basically says, we're not walking here to fight with you now. We're walking here to make you a challenge in your own home. We want a tag match at Sacrifice. Me and O'Hare versus you two. 2-on-2 to see who's truly better. And Morningstar steps back and says, why shouldn't we just destroy you in the heart of our power? Leave you done for good. Leave you dust for dust, ashes to ashes, and we can move on to more important things. Because if you did, given the message and maybe even told you something different, deep down you couldn't truly hold power. Because you had to have all the advantages to take us out. After all, does your supposed message tell you to do that? Or does it tell us to actually fight you? And her substance says, Macias kicked my ass, but I'm still here. So you can strike us down, but we'll rise back up. because we're the future of the World Championship Wrestling, not you fools. Imperial steps back. He like closes his eyes as I keep on saying that. Morningstar closes his eyes as if he's getting something. He says, "Okay, fine, it's settled. You've chosen the date of your destruction, but tonight can be a preview." And they step forward, but although the lights go out when they come back on, O'Hare and Palumbo are gone. As we cut commercials, as this gets a 95. Like I said, incredibly goofy. Then we have our main event, which is about that superb wrestling and great heat. Bill Goldberg, Rob Van Dam, and Jeff Hardy defeated the Triumvirate of Lance Storm, Mike Awesome, and Billy Kidman in 1703, when Jeff Hardy pinned Lance Storm with the Swanton Bomb. This gets an 85. Hardy gets a 90. Rob Van Dam gets a 91. Bill Goldberg gets a 94. Kidman gets an 88. Awesome gets an 87. Lance Storm gets an 80. So yeah, this was hitting on all cylinders. So you have fantastic back and forth, 6-man just war. Everybody going after each other. Goldberg and Awesome eventually fighting to the end. But the end, RVD hits a big old dive, sunset foot powerbomb on Kidman to the outside. Hardy is able to hit the twist of fate, then go up top, Swanton Bomb, 1, 2, 3 on Lance Storm to get the big victory as the show ends. And overall, the show gets an 89. So good stuff. So let's just see what Raw did, and then we'll go over the other news that's happening in the wrestling world here, and then we'll go from there. So this will take a moment to load up. But yeah, I think solid show. Again, if you notice, I'm trying to keep people on the show, but it's getting harder and harder, which is why some plans for later in the year. But yeah, this everybody's getting over enough that I can't get everybody on the show who matters at one time. Let's see here. Nope, nobody. Okay, nobody important. So let's see what Raw did. So Raw had Trish Stratus defeating Selena in an 80. Big Show defeating Matt Classic in a squash. Bradshaw defeating Val Venus in an 82. Hall, Regal, and Richards defeating Kevin Nash in Quick and Sexy. Kurt Angle defeating Cody Hawk in 83. Chris Benoit defeating DDP. And our main event, Triple H and Chris Jericho defeating The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in a 99. 88, so we actually, I think we beat them, right? By a point. Yeah, we beat them by a point, so good times. Okay, I had one there, Rick. Matzo defeating Hokuto for their white belt, I think it is. And that got a 77, so fun times. But I think that's about it for, yeah. Okay, yeah, so we got Saturday Night coming up next. Okay, so first a couple quick things. So storylines, everything's pretty solid. Yeah, this is at a 37. The Booker Eddie is at a 92. Tag title feud is at a 69. Cruiserweight Fun's at an 82. Darkness feud is at a 94. Horseman feud's at an 83. Toro is at an 86. Toro, yeah. Tag Wars is at a 77. So that's AMW versus Jett London. Ric Flair and Helms at a 76. Triumvirate versus The Man is at an 85. Vampiro Morningstar is at an 89. Walking the Path, Sharp Ray is at a 75. And the Women's Title feud is at a 61, which I should throw Cole in there. Let's see here. Anything else? I don't think I've charged it, but yeah, we're close to becoming a Titanic sized. We just have to get a little more over, I think, where was it? Yeah, in either Oceania or in Europe. I think that's about it for what you guys care about. Yeah, so let's go to our other companies. So let's go to our old Def territories. So first, for American Wrestling Queens, for their last show, we had Miss Molly and Mischief defeating Sydney Rogers and Madison Clare and Tracy Brooks and Ariel in a 3-way opening match, which got a 36. We had a whole bunch of backstage segments, including 3 straight 52s, which is interesting. So we had Leah Osaka and the Pink Girls, which is Natty Neidhart and Becky Bayless, being Allison Danger and Counterpunch, which is Roni Jonah and Allison Danger? Nope. I'll have to double check that. No, it's Roni Jonah and Vanessa Harding. Yeah, okay. Anyway, this match out of 48. We had Lacey defeating Bonnie Maxim in a 51. We had the Social Scene defeating Team Agony, which is Beth Phoenix and cheerleader Melissa, in a 53 to retain the tag titles, and we had Kim Nielsen defeating Wissini Busick in a 53 to retain the championship. So 50-50 solid show for them. Then we had NWA Wildside. Where are we going? Yeah. Group profile, show history. So, for the weekly house show, we had Travis Tomko defeating Claudio. So, yes, for the person who commented last time, Claudio continues to lose. Chris Rombola and Rick Michaels defeat Tony Jones and Sonny Siaki. Tony Gazzini defeating JC Daz. Okay, this is interesting. Because Adam Ortiz, Marcus Miltech, and Kate Grimes is a team all of Regens, and that got a 59. Ernie Tawny defeated Keith Walker and Killswitch in a 59. Adam Jacobs, okay. And in the main event, Jason Cross defeated Jimmy Rave in a 73. Fun times. And then in the Wildside TV, we had Ray Lippin defeating Claudio in a 48. Again, Claudio loses again. Jimmy Rave defeated Lazarus and Killswitch. And Jason Cross and Shane Balor defeated Adam Jacobs and Prince Donna. So, interesting. I'll forget what else to show you guys, if there's anything else of note. So let me just double check that real quick, and I'll be back with you in just a second. So a couple random shows. Emperor Hug won their big shows, which was live from the Nando Dome in Kansai with 1,600 people, and was main evented by Great Suzuki defeating Hideki Nishiya, who's Hayate. And in another big match, Hideaki Akita defeating Chad Collier, of all people, in an 80. Other interesting matches, let's see here. Brutus Beefcake defeated Susumu Uzuki. Okay, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's about it. MLW, which is a very different MLW from reality, had interesting shows with Glacier and David Flair defeating JC Daz and Robert Gibson. We had Jason Cross defeating Ron Harris to retain the #1 contender title. And winning the main event, Mark Merrow defeated John Phoenix in a 58. So this is interesting because basically my Dev Fed getting really over has basically meant that these guys are now getting signed by other companies. So yeah, that's about it for this week, but I just want to go over the show for Sacrifice before we go. So as a quick thing, we've got in the main event Booker T versus Eddie for the World Championship. We got Jamie Noble versus AJ Styles for the World Cruiserweight title. We got Jordan Cole going after Nikita Colt's World Women's title. We've got in their first defense, Silver City Rollers defeating the titles against Hart Legacy. We've got Rey Mysterio Jr. defeating the U.S. title against Keaton Sharp. In a huge tag team match, Palumbo and O'Hare team up to take on Macias and Morningstar. Ric Flair takes on the Legend Killer Shane Helms. In a battle with former Horseman Jeff Jarrett, along with his chosen few, take on Canyon. And Goldberg takes on Awesome. So, of course, as you sort of realize, RVD and Hardy will sometime evolve to Triumvirate, but who knows with Eric Bischoff's. And other fun things will probably happen. But, again, hope you enjoyed this. If you have, go and give it a like. Comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying. And subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series. My WWE 2013 series, where I've used a random number generator to give myself random goals, including The Miz being being The Undertaker's next Mania opponent, and really pushing Darren Young. My MLW 2006 series, now with MLW on Fusion, which means a lot more lucha wrestlers and other brand wrestlers coming in to, make that roster stronger. And WCW 1994, where I've now exited Spring Stampede and heading towards Slamboree, where Rick Rude and Sting will unify the WCW Championship and the International World Championship to make the new WCW World Championship. But that's it for now. So, talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.